Hello, this is Pavel from RankWyz. Today update is the next step in our RankWyz rework process, and although I'm lately getting more negative comments on the amount of changes coming than positive, so we still have to finish a couple of more steps in order to compile altogether a new vision of new RankWyz. We're not fixing bugs, we're just rebuilding completely the process. And today component is was the one of the major objectives why we started this redesign, and I mentioned it in the very first video when I listed the problems we have inherently from the beginning of the project, beginning of the system, that prevents us from implementing new, more complex, modern SEO strategies. And today we're going to talk about push submissions. I mentioned push submissions in the past, but today it is ready to be used, available for users. Before we go, and obviously that push submissions is about second tier. The problem RankWyz had with the implementation, multi-tier implementation, is because we use the same design, same concept for building authority, making posts on the site, and building the second tier. And Web 2 sites, Web 2 blogs are by nature second tier. How legacy, how it used to be, how the implementation of legacy second tier in RankWyz was, we had a link set, the collection of links that retrieves, was configured to retrieve links from upper tier or from outside of the system. Would it be tier 2, tier 1 networking in RankWyz, or RSS or sitemap or something? It will be outside. So we assume that there is a source of links, and then submission schedule it, and every post that will use this link set to retrieve links and use them. The problem with this approach, with the pull model, is the second tier doesn't know how often needs to check links, how many posts to schedule, how make sure every upper tier link posted used, because we do it based on the assumptions. Like if we know for a fact that upper tier posts once a day, so we probably will make it a pretty decent model assumption so that we need to post this every link like 5 times, so therefore we need to post 5 times a day across the second tier network, and then in average every link will be used 5 times. But what if we don't know? What if we don't have control? And let's say we configure it to post 5 times a day, and then upper tier changed from posting once a day to twice a month, and then second tier still will be pulling links and abusing them over and over again until the second link is available. And in many cases, in real life, you use your main blog, or and you don't know how often you're going to be posting. So one day you post 2, another week you post none, and then second tier configuration become unclear how to implement. And that's why 80% or like 90% probably of our users did not have a second tier, multi-tier setup. So basically I believe in multi-tier setup, but our system wasn't clear enough, wasn't easy enough to set up multi-tier. And overall challenge with second tier automation is the post must be triggered once upper tier post is available. So basically it's an implementation of push model, and the push model we already did for bookmarking. But bookmarking in a way is simple because you only have a link, and you might optionally pass title and description, but link itself is enough, because by nature of bookmarking, this is what you need, link. And system can extract title and description, and this would be good enough for bookmarking. Blogging is much more complex because you need to decide what content to post, and more important, where and how place the link. Of course, there is a very simplified implementation one. For second tier, we use mashup and inject link right in the middle of the content, and that would be, I guess, good enough for, but that was good enough several years ago. Now moving forward, we know that as much as tier one quality, like everyone knows now about tier one quality, relevance of the content, proper anchor distribution, link profile, as much as tier one, correct tier one, contribute to success of the main site, tier two, in exactly the same way, builds up authority and quality of the tier one. So we ideally should strive to post relevant content on the second tier and use the same, or might be different, modified for second tier anchor distribution, but still it should be more controlled, more high quality. So this is what we have ready today, and this is what I'm excited about. For the simple demo, I set up content mill, content bucket. I set up content bucket, I called it second tier, and I used plain syndicated content using home business category. I set up no images, no links, no advanced settings, and because now content storage and enhancement is outside of the submission, I can use for demo very simple syndicated content, but it will not make any difference on a submission whether you use syndicated content and just simply insert the link inside, or you use more sophisticated content setup. Might be you upload your own articles, you can use article builder, you can add link templates to enhance it. You can, if you do it for a client, you can even use readable content, but configuration will be the same. Again, for the sake of this demo, I use syndicated content. I started because it's pre-scraped, it will come out immediately, and you see that as typical syndicated article extracted from the relevant sites on a topic of home business. And now to the essence, I go to the my project. And on the submission tab, I use several times the post submission as an example, and now we're talking about push submission. So we keep them separate because, again, as I mentioned, it's a nature of this. One, we use to post content. We have a content, we have a schedule, we have an idea of how often we need to post it. So basically, we set it up, so we tell how often we want to post. A push submission is just a configuration of how to every link will be posted once it's available. So I create a push submission, call it push. I selected the second tier content bucket, and for the demo I will use default settings. Let's say post every URL 3 times, no spread. But in real life, you probably, depending on the size of your network, you might, like, yeah, if you have like me, like 500 blocks, you probably will do it like 50, might be even 100 times, and spread it over like week, 2 weeks, a month. So now there's no limits. You can build up natural spread syndication of using relevant content, of to use your link an exact number of times as specified in the configuration. So, and if I save it now, that will be exactly the base use case I just said. So the system will use the content from the bucket and will randomly inject the link in the body and will push it. So this is the very simple, and in some cases it might be good enough. So that's why we have it like this. If I save it, will be working. But we have advanced settings where I can select my link profile. And if you watch my yesterday demo about link profiles, I use all my keywords on the home business, and I set up distribution of primary, secondary, generic, naked links. So basically it's all in my link profile, and I can select the template again. So this is by default is just naked link, but I can use any template. And the beauty of it is that we do not force of how what template you use. You can create your own, so you don't have any footprint. You can combine this text with any other templates. But for this demo, I will use a resource box, and I place it in the bottom of the article. So just to summarize it, so I have second tier content, and every link will be posted 3 times, no spread, and link will be decorated as a resource box and placed on the bottom of the content. And I save it. So as I said, unlike post submission, this one doesn't post anything. It's just active and waiting for a link to be available, and then it will inject it in the content and it will post based on the configuration. I use one URL. You can have one URL. You can have multiple URL. There are sorry, there are extra configuration for you can set up anchors, but this is outside of this overriding configuration of this submission, because you don't need anything, because you configure the submission how to put your link, post your link. So I use one as this example. I save it. One URL is added. You can see one post created. All 3 were created, and their content are already assigned. And if you look at that, this is the home business syndicated content, and my link added at the bottom in the form of resource box. And again, so we don't impose any footprint or a restriction on you. You're convincing that you don't need good linking or good looking content for a second or third tier. So it's up to you. You can inject it or can use any link template. In this case, I use resource box, and it's nice looking article on its own. Of course, I can use extra functionality of content mill, of enhancing it with images, placing other contents, or I can post a completely different type of content. The configuration will be the same. To summarize, I create a submission and I specify how to place my link, what template to use to place my link. And now, why it is important, why it is was the main objective for us to build it, to rebuild this blogging to follow both post and push submission. Now we have everything in place to allow you to build multi-tier posting, multi-tier setup without any extra effort, without all the nightmare of the submissions as we had it, link sets. So you have one submission, and it can push data once it's posted to the next level. Or if your main site, let's say outside of the RankWyz, we about to finish RSS monitor, that will be sitting and watching your blog. And once post available on a blog, it will just grab it and based on your configuration, post it as many times on the first tier, and you can configure second tier. So you don't need to come to RankWyz so often, because once you decide to post it on your main site, RankWyz has everything inside to trigger a snowball effect of posting the second tier, third tier, and more. So I will create a simple example, because to make it simple, I put all submissions in one project. But in reality, you probably will have the first tier network, second tier network, or you have it outside. I already have bookmarking network and a submission bookmarking. So I'll create second tier. I'll start from the bottom up. Second tier. And exactly the way I just created, showed it, I create second tier submission. Again, I'm not going to use any spread or high number, it's just for demonstration only. And I use exactly the same profile, or might be I use inline snippet, and I put it random sentence. And I will select that every successful post goes to the bookmarking tier 2, like it's so it means it's going to be tier 3. Now I create it and save it, and we have now 2 submissions chained, blogging tier 2, waiting for a link to be posted, and once it's completed it will go to bookmarking tier 2 with every URL to be posted 5 times. And again, to make it simpler, I put the post submission in the same network, but it could be in the tier 1 network, it could be your PBN site or blog. You can set up blog submission with RankWyz, or if you manage it outside, you can use any other way of pushing the content, pushing the link. And I use post submission for tier 1, and I use more sophisticated content I built yesterday with lots of links template, and I want to post it 10 times, let's say. And again, I don't want to spread it, but what I want to do is to use every post sent for bookmarking, and I use for the same example, I can use the same bookmarking submission, and blogging I will send for tier 2. So now we have post submission that will make a 10 post, and every successful post will be sent for bookmarking and for blogging, and this blogging in turn is also set to send it to bookmarking. If you set up spread, so this is configuration to set up very natural looking snowball effect that will trigger in every post on your main site and will create dozens and might be even 100 posts spread over time. And more important, it will be using relevant content and a proper anchor distribution that based on your link profile configuration. So now I have, you can see that this is tier 1 and I have 10 posts using my tier 1 content. It's clearly I'm using one of the banners, and it's scheduled to be posted. I can push it in front of the queue, and I will pause for seconds so you can see it's already pausing. But once I have several posts made, I will just continue resume video, and I'll show you that the lower tier posts are triggered automatically. And now I continue. You can see that the tier 1 made 3 posts already. It still had a few scheduled, so 3 made. So I go to second tier, and you can see that 3 URLs. So let me refresh. It has 3 URLs and 9 scheduled posts. If I go to posts, so it is links from coming from the first tier embedded in the inline snippet into the second tier. And if I go to bookmarking, if you remember by configuration, both first tier and second tier are posting to bookmarking. There are gazillion posts, so like not gazillion, but quite a few posts already scheduled to be bookmarked, bookmarking links from the first and second tier. So basically 3 posts on the first tier created that many URLs on the bookmarking. Those are posts on the second tier, because it keeps posting. And so we have 4 now. And imagine if you have RSS monitor that monitors the main site, one post will trigger like snowball effect, going down to and spread over time over your Web2 and social bookmark networks. And obviously after that you'll send them to the bulk indexing, and you can do like the last tier bulk backlinking with the mass backlinking tools like JSA. So this is again the summary of to summarize, this is push submissions, and to create it, you create a content bucket. Better to use syndicated content because it's never-ending content, but you can use your own article builder, or any other. Optional, create link profile and template, or use existing or built-in. So as I used resource box, which is built-in, but it's pretty straightforward to create your own. And then you create push submission, configure content source, and how to decorate and place link. Wait. So now whenever you have URL to push, add them manually or configure upper tier to push links automatically. So basically it will create, you don't need to come and stop and start submission. The only thing I forgot to mention is API. API, we have to push your links. So if you have, so I'm pretty sure it's just a matter of time when there will be someone built a WordPress plugin that will automatically push links, or any other system that will push links for RankWyz for high quality second, third tier backlinking using Web2 sites or social bookmarking. Well, this is it for a demo. Thank you for watching, and thank you for using RankWyz.